So I thought it was time for an update on King Charles, Queen Camilla, and Prince William. So that's what the video will be about. If you like the video, like the video. And if you haven't subscribed, please do subscribe. And thank you very much for watching. Okay, so the subject today is the three-ring circus. It seems to me that is going on in Britain, in around the royal palace, and this coronation, and who's invited, who's not invited, who's getting kicked out of where and reinstalled somewhere else, and the whole thing just seems, I don't know, silly. But let's see what the cards can tell us about the three main characters. That'll be King Charles, Queen Camilla, and Prince William. So we'll see what's going on there. And it just seems like this is the perfect set of cards for this. This is Joe Lee's Le Grand Circus and Sideshow Tarot. Circus and Sideshow being the operative phrase there. So, King Charles. It seems, I don't know if the messaging is coming out too slow or uncoordinated from the palace. Maybe all of this is exactly the way he wants it to happen, but it starts for me with, you know, his dad leaves the title of the Duke of Edinburgh to the younger son Edward, and then Charles decides, well, no, let's rethink all of that, and ends up doing exactly that. Then there's the situation having to do with the Frogmore Cottage, which the Queen says, Harry, Meghan, you guys can have this, which is funny when they say you can have it, but it's actually just a lease and they have to pay for it. So I don't know, but Harry and Meghan, you can have it. And then Charles says, well, no, you can't really have it. We're gonna give that to my dishonored brother Andrew, because he certainly deserves a grace and favor, completely redone modern cottage more than anyone else in the family. So, I don't know. And then there's the talk about that actually there's some negotiating going on as to what's going to, and the titles of Prince and Princess for Harry and Meghan's kids. So I don't know. It just seems like an uncoordinated mess to me, but who am I? You know, I'm an American over here just looking at it as a sideshow. Before we do anything, however, let's have just a moment of meditation. Okay, so let's see, we'll do them three individually, Charles, Camilla, and William, and then we'll do a larger draw on the situation involving those three. So first off, King Charles. What can three cards tell us about King Charles? Is this really indecision on his part? Or, you know, I'm drawn to want to have four cards, so I'm going to draw four. Or is it just things are going along smoothly exactly the way he would like them to go along? I feel like there's some manipulation in the background by Queen Camilla. I don't know. So the first card up, King of Wands. Okay, so no, it's Charles. He's got plans. Wands are actions, plans, forward movement. He's the King of Wands. He's the King of Plans. So he wants these plans to be his, is what I see in all of this. The next one up is the Seven of Wands, and that's kind of battling the plans that are coming up all of a sudden. So this fella has one wand to deal with all these other issues. Is he dealing with issues that don't need to be dealt with? No, they seem to be poking up at him. The next card is the Seven of Swords. Swords are truth, justice, rules, and law. And the Seven of Swords is typically an abuse of power. In this card, though, for this Circus Sideshow Tarot, we see that the fella has several of the swords in the air. He's got 5 of them up in the air, and 2 of them have stuck and are not being a problem in his juggling act. And then King Charles, what kind of cards tell us about what's going on with him? And then the final card is this Two of Pentacles, and Pentacles are value, and this is a balance of power somehow. But we see that it's all gooey and kind of stuck together, and is kind of a difficult balance to manage. So let's read all again, thinking about King Charles. Well, he is the King of Plans, or he wants to be the King of Plans. And this King of Plans doesn't look very steady on that log, I think. What he's got ahead of him is trying to kind of rebalance all these actions that are up against him. He's juggling a lot at the time and looks to have a couple of these truths nailed down, but the whole thing is a sticky balancing act of his power, and in none of these does he particularly look in control. It all looks a bit like a job. So he's the King of Wands, dealing with several issues, got some of them up in the air, most of them up in the air, and it's all a sticky situation. I don't know that I'm very satisfied with those cards, but that's what we got. Camilla. I want to know what's going on with Camilla. Is she causing some of the issues? Is she solving some of the issues? Is she a help? Is she a hindrance? Is she honest? Is she tricky? What can 3 cards only tell us about Camilla? 1, 2, 3. Camilla. What can cards tell us about Queen Consort Camilla in just 3 cards? The first one is the 10 of Swords, end of a cycle. This is the trick where the magician stabs all the swords into a box where there's somebody inside, and the person inside doesn't get hurt. So what does this signify? I don't know. Let's see what the other 2 cards say. But it's a sticky end to a cycle, and of course swords are truth, justice, rules, and law, all going in to stab somebody who in the end doesn't really get hurt. The second for Camilla is the Page of Coin. Coins are value. The page is the least prominent of the royal court, and it seems like this is her measure of value actually. Okay, it's just that of a page with a little message to bring to court, an idea. We can see that this page is trying to sell his goods, and someone's just offering him $1 for it, So let's see. And then the final card for Camilla, the Popess. Now the truth is coming out. This is at the least how she sees herself, and at the most how she's really acting as the number 2 to the king. Okay, the king's almost surrogate. And the Popess has to deal with secrets and looking into the future. So I think, let's read it again. So Queen Camilla, what does this say about her? As far as these truths, justice, rules, and law, she's stabbing into the basket, but nobody's really getting hurt. Her value in this situation is really just that of a page bringing an idea to the court, but in the end she sees herself as the Popess, which is, that's like the number 2, pretty important, and trying to look into the future, and or she does have this value, but no, this tells she doesn't have that value. This is how she sees herself. She's stabbing in the dark. It doesn't have much value, but she sees herself as quite important. William. 3 cards. William. What's the deal with you, William, in all of this? All of this, what is your stake? What is your input? What is your import? Is it noble? Is it tricky? What's the deal with William? 3 cards for William. Okay. 1, 2, and 3. It seems that he's abandoned his mother and is full on board with his dad. First card for William, Queen of Coins, value, number 2. The Queen is number 2. Really studying the books. He sees himself as a very valuable number 2 in this situation. The next card is the 5 of Swords, as a matter of fact. So swords are truth, justice, rules, law. You see them here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the 5 of Swords is an abuse of power. He sees himself as number 2, and this looks like an abuse of that power. The third sword is the Queen of Swords. So yeah, he is definitely in that number 2 position. And look, this queen is even the bearded lady. So it's got the face of a man holding on to that truth, justice, rules, law. So yeah, he is solidly in that number 2 position, making decisions along with the king. And it seems to be some sort of an abuse of power. And the truth, justice, rules, and law in this depiction here aren't very straight, are they? They're a bit curvy and distorted. So, and people are even turning away from the act. Interesting. And in the end, he just seems to be a foolish looking number 2. Tell me what you think. So now we're going to do 6 cards on the trio, the triad, the 3-ring circus. George. I always want to call Charles George ever since he ascended to the king, and I wonder if he's not some reincarnation of a previous king. But anyway, Charles. It's been in the back of my mind for a long time. I just said it on out loud on YouTube now for the first time. But King Charles, Queen Camilla, Prince William. 6 cards. What can the cards tell us about this triad of power? 6 cards. 1. Remember, if you want to know more about these cards, I'm going to tell you all about them at the end of the video. And if you haven't subscribed, and you could subscribe, which you can subscribe, then you would subscribe, which I would appreciate if you do. That'd be great. So, 6 cards for the trio. The first thing we have up here is the 5 of Cups. Cups are compassion, emotion, heartfelt situations. The 5 of Cups is having spilt something here, and you have a couple of things left to go on with. So when I'm talking about these 3, the topic at hand between this royal court and obstacles it has, these 2 have to be Harry and Meghan. I'm sorry. So these 3 are kind of spilt. All of their contents is out on the floor. And so instead of standing there and crying over spilt milk, they should turn around and take a look at what they still got left behind them that could be value. And that's the signifier, is spilt milk. The challenge to that with this 4 of Swords, the Swords of truth, justice, rules, and law, and the 4 of Swords is knowing when to take a rest before you move along too quickly. Okay, so really studying your situation so that you don't get hurt. The basis of this whole thing with this King of Swords, this is got to be Charles, and so the King of Swords has got a hold of his truth, justice, rules, and law, and he's trying to sell it to the crowd. This is the guy outside the show trying to sell his deal to the crowd. I don't know if you can hear that hum that's going on, but I'm above a garage, or my garage, and someone's opened the door and closed it, and that's what that hum was, if you heard it. The past of this, if you didn't hear it, you don't know what I'm talking about. The past of the situation with this trio, and look at that, very interesting. This is the Wheel of Fortune, and this happens to show 3 people as the main attraction in the ring, and then someone just kind of hanging on. So in the past is, I guess, getting your footing in this act. In the sky of this reading is the 4 of Pentacles, and the 4 of Pentacles is represented right here. He's just trying to hold on to his value. You see there's 3 bags of money right here. There's one little pentacle in his hat, or you could consider this wheel of the wagon of pentacle. But the 4 of Pentacles, what's up in the sky here, is really just trying to hold on to that value. And I would imagine that's what they're trying to really figure out, because they have to keep this monarchy going in the short time that Charles will be there, not screw it up so that William can carry the ball on forward. And then the likely outcome of this whole thing is this 10 of Pentacles, and the outcome is very good because the Ten of Pentacles is familial value, generational value, and the show goes on. I love that. We show the Ticketmaster is an old fella, really sat down, taking a break, and in the coming into the tent, we have the husband, the wife, the child, and a couple of subordinates. So I don't know. It seems like it's not a very satisfying reading for me. Let's do 4 more cards just for the heck of it. See if it gets any better. So what can the cards tell us about the 3-ring circus that is Charles, Camilla, and William? A star is what we're looking for. It's in the environment of some truth and some justice. The hopes and the fears. Right here, some short-term planning. That's what wands are, and the 2 of wands in specific. And the likely outcome of the whole thing is a celebration. This is a 3-ring cups, 3 of cups, a 3-ring circus of at least putting on a show of celebration. So it says to me that they'll do enough to keep things going for when William does take the cake. Starts out with this crying over spilt milk, not recognizing you've got a little bit behind you to fall back on. It's challenged by really trying to find your perfect balance so that you're not hurt by the truth, the justice, the rules, and the law. The basis of the whole thing is standing outside that tent. This King of Swords standing outside the tent saying, come on in, it's going to be great. The past of it is getting this act down right. The sky of it is holding on to your value. The likely outcome for the first part of this is that you are welcoming people into the tent with this 10 of Pentacles, a 10 of value, generational value, as a matter of fact. To make it a full Celtic cross, we say, what's the really signifier of the whole situation? It's finding a star who's a bit topsy-turvy right now. And it's in the environment of some truth, some justice, rules, and law. I don't know if it is truth or it's in the environment of truth, but you notice there's a lightning strike here coming in this scene, which makes it a bit perilous. And then in the hopes and the fears, we have some short-term plans, which is all that's necessary to get things stable until William comes into play. And then the outcome of the whole thing is some emotional 3 of Cups celebration, putting on a show for everybody. Say, hey, everything's great. It's continuing on. So yeah, I think it's a struggle. They're finding their footing, and it's just about getting it on to William in the future. That's what I see. That's our subjects for today. I hope you like what came out, and if you've got something to say about it, say it down in the comments, and let me know what you want to read about, and I'll read it. I'm going to show you the cards now. So, Le Grand Circus and Sideshow Tarot by Joe Lee. These are really terrific cards. They come in a very nice box. If you received them as a gift or gave them as a gift, you'd feel like, oh, that was a nice gift. And the cards themselves are really nice. They're done in the style of sort of circus posters. And the guidebook is really a very nice little guidebook. This fellow Joe Lee was a very interesting person, or is a very interesting person. And I want to find, there's a little bit here that talks about him. But he was a circus performer. He went to the Clown College in Florida, which I'm from Florida, and I'm very well at the Clown College there. That you can go to get a degree in that. And then he's done other things in his life, and then once he decided that he would create tarot cards, he designed these to be so very useful. They're easy to use. The art on them is amazing, and if you know your Rider-Waite system, you're not going to have a problem, deciphering what these cards are going to mean. I mean, they're pretty self-explanatory and fun to look at. So, I do this so that you can have a look at these cards. If you're not a person who collects cards or looks at a bunch of tarot cards, otherwise you're only going to see the few cards that a reader pulls at a time. And I think it's just you're missing out on a lot. So, this Le Grand Circus Sideshow Tarot, I love using these. Well, coming back tomorrow, I'll be doing it all again. So, ciao for now. You really make a big difference. Thank you.